Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well, and in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing probably the best, or at least the best to me, or at least, well, one of the best episodes from the PAW Patrol, which is Pups Save a Friend. Now, I don't really think the title really fits it 100%, but anyway, so first I will be reviewing the episode and then I'll be giving my thoughts on this episode at the end. Okay, so the episode begins when Marshall is trying to help Mr. Porter with, it's been a while since I've seen this, but I think they're pastries that he helps him with. I know he tries to help him with something and it goes wrong thanks to Marshall. And Mr. Porter tells Marshall that he's helped enough, and Marshall's hurt by this, but he tells him very nicely that he's got it, that he'll clean up the mess. And then Marshall causes Mayor Goodway to crash while she was trying to ride her scooter, and yeah, he does mess things up. His clumsiness truly is seen in this episode, I think more so than ever. And then Marshall goes back to the lookout and he's playing volleyball with the other pups and he accidentally gets them all tied up. And then he's going after the ball, and Rubble comes to get the pups, telling them that an episode from their favorite show, which is called Apollo Super Pup, is on, and the pups go inside and Marshall comes back and they're all inside watching the show, and while they're watching the show, they're talking about the villain from the show and how he just can't do anything right. So apparently the villain in Apollo Super Pup is pretty dingy. Kind of like Mayor Humdinger, but he's probably even dingier. But Marshall, unfortunately, thinks that they're talking about him, and he looks really hurt at that point. And so he decides to leave the PAW Patrol, and there's this one part where he's looking up at the lookout, and he looks so sad, and he's in his fire truck, and he's about to leave. And when he leaves, he actually runs over their volleyball, and after he leaves, the pups come out, and they don't see Marshall, and then they see that their volleyball is flat, and Sky goes to look for Marshall, and Ryder calls Marshall, and Marshall tells him that he is going to take a break from the PAW Patrol, but I actually think Marshall actually intended on leaving for good. And so Ryder tells the pups about this, and I remember that once he tells Sky this, she's like, "What? No! He's a viable member of our team. We need him." And other than Chase and Sky, Marshall is like the third in command of the pups, or, well, fourth in command since Ryder's actually the leader, but as in main pup, Marshall would be like the third, because Chase would be the first, main pup, and then Sky being the only girl pup, and then Marshall. So yeah, Marshall is, not just, the third most popular pup, in with the fans and all, and he's also my favorite, by the way. He's also, I think he's actually been used quite a bit in the show. I think he might have a little bit more rescues than Sky, or maybe a little more less, but anyway, Marshall, either way, is a valuable member of their team, and they truly would be lost without him, even though he's clumsy. But I think in more recent seasons, he's not quite as clumsy. I mean, there's still that elevator joke that they do, but I don't think he's quite as clumsy anymore, I believe. But anyway, so they go to look for Marshall, and meanwhile, Marshall is in the woods, and he ends up befriending this little rabbit, and he follows the rabbit to her burrow and finds out that she's a mama rabbit. And then the storm comes, and this branch traps the mama and the babies in the burrow, but one of the babies actually ends up running off. And then the PAW Patrol comes, and it's actually interesting because Marshall actually calls Ryder, or tries to call Ryder, and then I think like a second later, after he does, Chase comes up behind him and he's like, "We're right here, Marshall." And then Marshall explains the situation, and then they free the mama and the babies, and then they find the missing baby, and the baby is reunited with her or his family. And then Chase asks Marshall why did he run away, and Marshall explains what he thought happened, that he overheard them laughing at him, and then Rubble explains that they weren't laughing at him, but they were laughing at the bad guy in that show. And I believe even Ryder says that the Paw Patrol wouldn't be the Paw Patrol without him, and I absolutely agree with that. I couldn't imagine the Paw Patrol. In fact, I wouldn't want to imagine the Paw Patrol without Marshall. Not just because he's my favorite pup and he's the third most popular pup, but I think he's, the third most popular pup for a reason, because he's such a great pup. But it's actually funny because at the very end of the episode, I think it's Rubble that tells him this, but one of the pups, again, I think it's Rubble, tells him that he owes them a new volleyball, and Marshall's like, "What?" And then the episode ends. But yeah, I thought that was funny when Marshall was like, "What?" So yeah, that was funny. But anyway, so let me give my thoughts on this episode, which is, this is such a great episode. In fact, if they didn't help the bunnies, then this episode would probably, or at least at the time, would be the very first and only episode to not have a rescue in it. Now, I don't know if there's any episodes like that now, because I really haven't been able to watch the show, so I'm honestly not sure if there's any episodes now that don't have a rescue in it. I seriously doubt it, but that really would have been interesting if this was the first episode to not have a rescue in it. At least one episode. And this would have been a good one because of, the emotion this episode has. And I think I've even read a few times that people were like, they need to make more episodes like this. Bring out more episodes like this. Because this episode, it has emotion in it. It's not real cheesy. It's a good balance. It's not cheesy. It's not forced or whatever. It's good. This is what most of the episodes, in fact all the episodes, or well, at least some of them, should be like. And yes, I absolutely agree that there should be more episodes like this. And I honestly think it would be interesting if they had a really emotional episode like this, where there wasn't a rescue. Just one time. That might be interesting to at least see, them not have to rescue anybody or anything, just one time. And maybe one of the pups could even make a comment like, "Hey, we didn't actually save anybody this time," or "We really didn't have to do anything." That might be interesting. A lot of people may not like that idea, but I'm sure people would definitely love the idea of there being episodes that have more emotion in them. And I honestly think that would be great. It'd be great if the movies were not just where we can find the emotion in the Paw Patrol. That would be great. But anyway, so yes, I think that this is a great episode. I love the emotion in it, and I honestly do hope for more episodes like this in the future, if there aren't already, but I doubt it. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this episode review, and stay tuned for more. Bye!